Buckeye fans, we are coming to you live from downtown Atlanta as we go through the motions on a college football playoff national championship media day. We're checking out practices. We're seeing everybody. We're getting to talk to the players. We got so much to discuss from what we heard from all the Ohio State Buckeyes and what we heard from the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. All that coming up on the Buckeye Breakdown podcast.
We've got the whole crew together as we cover Ohio State
with our instant analysis from Ohio State.
There's something that doesn't feel right.
Unbelievable effort from him today.
Is E.J. Liddell going to crack the first team All-Big Ten?
I think he can be the guy. I'm not trying to start a quarterback controversy.
He seems to have the durability. He certainly has the toughness. This is the question on a lot of people's minds here. Welcome to Buckeye Breakdown.
And welcome in, everybody, to the Buckeye Breakdown podcast. Anthony Moeglin here, live from Atlanta, Georgia, downtown Atlanta, just minutes away from Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where it's all going to happen on Monday night. It feels like it should be sooner than that. We could still have over 48 hours until the Ohio State Buckeyes take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in what's going to be potentially one of the best national championships that we've seen. And obviously, on paper, these two teams are heavily outmatched. But Notre Dame's been known to drag opponents into the mud, make games really tough, and scrap their way to victories, while Ohio State, prior to this 1 month stretch of amazing football, was really good at getting out of just dirty wins and doing that. And then they turned it on, and they've looked like a completely different team here as we've worked our way through the college football playoffs. But there's so much to get to today. As I mentioned in the open, we're here after media day. It was an unbelievable morning over at the convention center in downtown Atlanta, where we got to speak to a lot of the players, got to speak to a lot of the team, and for both teams as well. Ohio State and Notre Dame was made available to us, and we got some great footage that I'm going to share with you here in a little bit from both sides of the coin. We also got to go look at practice. Didn't get to see much of the actual football being played, but it was awesome to be inside of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. If you've never been, I highly suggest putting it on the bucket list, because it's unbelievable. It's a 10-year-old stadium that looks like it just opened up yesterday, and the energy around town is really starting to pick up. It's really starting to feel like there's a huge football game coming in just a few days here. So as everyone's jumping in here, certainly appreciate you joining me live. If you're not live and you're catching this at a later time, thanks so much for jumping in. You see it below. We got a bunch of places for you to get our content. We got Twitter going live right now, so head over to our Twitter handle, Ohio State Buckeyes on SI. I don't know if that's actually correct. I'll drop that in the comment section, but go follow there. And then subscribe to our channel here, Ohio State Buckeyes on SI on YouTube. And then hit over to our SI site, si.com/college/Ohio State. Our team's working really hard all week long, keeping this content full and fresh. Know you got plenty of places to go get your Ohio State Buckeyes content, so we appreciate you making us one of your stops. And this weekend, man, look at big picture. This is football. This is the best football weekend of all time. We're just an hour or so away from the kickoff of the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. You got an awesome matchup between the Chiefs and the Texans. You got the Lions tonight. You got two great games tomorrow, one in Philly, and then you're finishing up with the AFC matchup. I don't even remember what it is. Oh, the granddaddy of them all, right? The Bills and the Ravens. And then on Monday night, we get the capper. We get the crown jewel, the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So a lot of the conversation today, it went a number of different ways. The coaches got some technical questions, also some just big picture questions. How'd you get here? What's been kind of the tactic? And you saw it on the thumbnail card. Train rats was the quote of the day. And I think we're 18 days into January, and we already have a quote of the year nominee, because one of the main themes of today was the length of this season, right? This is going to be week 16 in terms of games played. This is 18 weeks of football for Ohio State, and with including their bye weeks. And through 18 weeks, look at this season like an NFL season, right? There's a ton of ups, there's a ton of downs, there's good weeks, there's bad weeks, there's everything in between. And Ryan Day was asked about, what does it take to get this far? Is your team, do you feel like they have the stamina to keep going? And his response was this: we're like train rats. We just come to work and we figure out what the next mission is. I think our team is fresh right now. If we had to, we could continue to play for a few more weeks. That's an amazing quote there by Coach Day. And basically what it says to me is that this team is so mission driven. They're so worried about just, hey, what is the next hurdle to clear? What is the next obstacle to get over? They weren't playing against Tennessee looking forward to playing Oregon. They weren't playing Oregon thinking, what are we going to do to beat Texas, or what are we going to do to beat Arizona State? They weren't looking over Texas and saying, we might get Notre Dame, we might get Penn State. Well, they already had known at that point. They weren't game planning for Notre Dame. They were just taking care of the job at hand, and you see that. And the great part about Ohio State this year, in my perspective, is the depth that they have, right? And it's evident in a number of different places. The first one is at running back. You see Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson really being the 1-2 punch. Pretty much it's a 1A, 1B punch. It's not a 1-2. Both of those guys would be starting running backs on literally every other program in the country. It just so happens that they play right next to each other in the backfield. And what that equates to is Travion Henderson doesn't have to take every carry. He doesn't have to take the lion's share of carries. He can be injury-free and look fresh. He looks like it's week 5 out there when he's running around. He's got speed. He's got all the quickness. He's got the power. Quinshon as well, man. That dude loves contact. He loves when he runs the football. He reminds me a lot of Kareem Hunt for all of our Browns fans and anybody going to tune into that Kansas City game here in a little bit. But he reminds me of that, where he touches the football, and if you're in his way, he's going to go right through you. He ain't going to juke you out. He's not going to spin. He's not going to jump over you. He's going to go right through your chest. And that's the mentality that he has. And then Travion's a little bit different, where he's got more of that finesse, but he's also good. Hey, if it's man on man in the A gap and he needs a yard, he's going right through you as well. So they both have that in them, but they take carries off of each other. And Coach Jim Knowles had a great quote today, and he was asked about that exact question. He goes, well, it's not only good execution by our team, but it's good preparation. He said Coach Day does a really good job of, they always have their eye on snap counts. They always have their eye on who's playing what, who's doing what. But he also said they work hand in hand. The offense works with the defense. He said if the offense can get a couple more drives a game or slow the clock down, and he said, imagine this, take 10 plays off of a defense per game. Now multiply that by 15. That's 150 plays that can be eliminated from a defense's season, just based on simple game plan, just based on approach to a football game. And Jim Knowles had made mention of that, of like, hey, it's really important as you get into late November, as you get into December. Now, as you get through January, February is in 10 days almost. So, it was a really cool conversation that was happening around that perspective. Now, we did get the opportunity to hammer down with some of the guys and really talk about this matchup as it stands, right? The Notre Dame Fighting Irish come into play, and I said it a little bit ago. They're scrappy as heck. This is a group that isn't going to run past you. They're not going to run over you. They're not going to throw it. They're not going to throw for 350 yards. They're not going to rush it for 400 yards. They're going to bring you down in the mud. They're going to scrap this one out. And that's how they beat teams. Look at that Penn State game. They just stuck in the game. They were down 10, didn't matter. They just kept going after. And all of a sudden they got the ball after a turnover that they caused because of a good pass rush and an opportunistic play. Now they have a chance to go kick a field goal and win the football game. So they're not a team that scares you personnel-wise, but they are a team that scares you just culture-wise, right? This is a group that just doesn't quit. They don't give up. So I was able to ask a couple of the guys what their thoughts were on the Fighting Irish and what they kind of were expecting. First one was Jack Sawyer. Here's what Jack had to say about Notre Dame. Jack, congratulations on getting here. Talking about Notre Dame specifically, what's one or two things that you guys have your eye on to how do you stop the Irish? What do you got to do to contain Riley Leonard, Jeremiah Love? What are some things that will be on your mind on Monday night?
Yeah, they're a resilient football team. They had a tough loss early in the game. They just, went to work kind of like we've done and blocked it all the outside noise. And they've been playing great football all year long after that game. And they present a lot of challenges offensively and defensively. Their head coach is, I think, a phenomenal head coach. So they present a lot of challenges. We've got to be ready for everything come Monday night. And we know they're going to play tough, play hard, really sound football team, a lot of great athletes. So it should be a hell of a game.
Good luck, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I totally agree with a lot of the things Jack said there. And one of them that really stood out to me was at the start, he had mentioned that they're similar to us. He said something along those lines, paraphrasing. But you look back at it, yeah, these two teams traveled a similar path. Both of them had incredibly disappointing losses where they were 20-point favorites. Notre Dame's was the Northern Illinois. Ohio State's obviously was the team up north. And they rebounded, right? Ohio State's was a little more recent, but Notre Dame's was in September. And at the time that they both lost, there's an argument to be made that neither one of them should have been in the playoff, whether it was 4-team or 12-team, right? And for Notre Dame specifically, they buckled down, and that was now 14 weeks ago. They're on a 13-game win streak since then, and really have just committed to winning football and playing good football. And if you've watched even a quarter of Notre Dame, they're, like I said, they don't scare you, but they're just tough in what they do. And that led me to my next question to Cody Simon. And it was a great conversation with Cody Simon. And I just asked about, hey, what is a running quarterback? What do you have to do to stop Riley Leonard? Because he does bring that element of, hey, they're going to add an extra hat in the run game. It's going to be just a lot of quarterback-specific direct runs. But also, too, when they do drop back to pass, he can use his legs to get yards. He can use his legs to throw the football away, extend plays, get out of the pocket, and turn what could be a disaster into maybe not so much a positive play, but a neutral play, right? And sometimes that stuff changes games. So here's what Cody had to say on that point. Cody, what are some of those things that the Irish present, maybe with their offense, with the running quarterback, with the good running game, that you got your eye on come Monday night?
Yeah, it's always tough when a quarterback can run, it can be mobile. It's a big focus for us, and we want to be able to limit that as much as possible because he can extend plays and make it tough for people in the back end too. So, they're a tough team. They run the ball well, and it's going to be on us to be able to stop the run. And I think that'll be a big dictator of the game if we can play well in the run game. I think we can play well.
Good luck, man. So yeah, that was a good point there by Cody talking about really being stout in their run defenses, really being good and disciplined when they're rushing the passer. Also, when a play does break down, be available where you're supposed to be where you need to be, and don't let Riley Leonard extend plays. Don't let Riley Leonard make that big play that could keep the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in the football game. But for the most part, when you talked about the Ohio State defense, they were very confident. They had a sense of, not only belonging is not the right word, but they had a sense of confidence to them, that they know that they can do what it takes to get a win. I was talking with Tyleik Williams kind of off camera, just said, hey, how you feel, man? He goes, I feel really, really good. They look fresh. They look like, and they sound like they feel pretty darn good. So really gives you that feel, that comforting feel, and that defense does feel like that, because we've seen it a number of times where they've won us the football game, especially earlier in the year, but also too as the years progress, they've just become that dominant force. Now flipping the thing over to the offensive side of the ball, this Ohio State team has been absolute fireworks over the past month. You talk about what Jeremiah Smith has done in the playoff outside of that Texas game. He's been incredible. He was amazing against Tennessee. He was amazing against Oregon. Obviously, he had that one catch for just 3 yards against Texas, but he did his job. Texas had 6 eyes on him at times, 2 guys on him all at once. And when you do that, that opens things up for guys like Carnell Tate. That opens things up for guys like Emeka Egbuka and the rest of the crew. And one of the things that's really stood out to me is that Chip Kelly it feels like Chip Kelly's found an unbelievable rhythm when he's calling plays. And whether you've called plays at the Pee Wee level, if you've called plays at the high school level, the college level, the pro level, it's a really good feeling when you look down at that call sheet and you're confident in every formation, you're confident in every scenario, you're confident in every person that you could get the football to, that not only could it be a positive play, but it potentially could go and it could score. So I was able to ask Chip Kelly about this, and I love what he had to say about not only this, about not specific players, but this offense as a whole. Offense has been on fire. Feels like everything you've called the past 3 weeks has a chance to go. What's that like as a play caller, just looking down at your sheet knowing that, hey, I got everything at my arsenal?
Well, I think your confidence as a coach is based upon the players' preparation, and they've been unbelievable in this run up here, going into Tennessee, going into Oregon, going into Texas. So, it's how prepared are they, and I think they've done a great job. We talk about being the most prepared, the least distracted, and they've done that for 3 straight weeks in terms of these last 3 games, and now that's the challenge again as we finish up this last one. We have a practice today, we have a practice tomorrow, so we're still working the game, and we'll work the game right up until kickoff, and then we'll work the game while the game's going on. So it's really the players and how dialed in they've been in this stretch that we're on right now. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And then a Notre Dame specific question. Apologies if you've already answered it, but what's one or two things that they do well that you're going to have your eye on come Monday night to try to attack them?
Yeah, I think they just play together as a group. They really, truly understand what the D-line needs from the linebackers, what the linebackers need from the secondary. They all work off of each other. It's a really, really well-coordinated defense. And, a lot of credit goes to those players. When you have some older players like Kaiser and Cross and Watts, at all three levels that have been around for a long time, kind of the coaches on the field, so to speak. And then I think, Marcus being a defensive guy and Al Golden have done a great job with that entire group. So, the cohesiveness of the entire group, I think, is something that's really special.
Awesome. Good luck, Coach. Yeah, one of the things that really stood out to me, there was two things, but the first one was there at the end where he was kind of complimenting a lot of the Irish players, a lot of the Irish coaches, and that was a common theme from everybody from Ohio State. It was, we respect the heck out of these guys. Caleb Downs had some really good comments about it that you can find on his interview that's on our YouTube channel, Ohio State Buckeyes on SI on YouTube. But he talked about the reverence that he holds Marcus Freeman and the rest of that Notre Dame staff in, and a lot of the guys had a lot of that similar comments about what Notre Dame brings to the table. And the other thing that stood out to me with what Coach Kelly said was at the start of that, he said, we pride ourselves on being the most prepared and the least distracted team. And it was funny. I was talking to one of the coaches, Riley Larkin, coaches the quarterback room, and he's like, we were talking about the game, and he's like, what do you think? How do you think we're going to do on defense? I'm like, dude, have you not watched Notre Dame? Like, have you not watched their offense? He goes, no. I'm like, yeah. Well, I got to put myself back into that coach's mindset where they're so dialed in on what their job is, what their task is at hand. They don't even know what's happening on the other side of the football, which is awesome. It's exactly what you want to see from their staff, what you want to see from the players as well. And they're all really, really bought into it. And you love what you hear from Coach Kelly saying that, hey, yeah, we pride ourselves on being the most prepared, and we have been, and it's shown. The execution that they've played with, the crispness that Will Howard has had, his execution, throwing the ball vertically. I talk about it pretty much every week, how if he had one thing to work on and continue to improve, it would be that vertical throw, and he's really executed on it well. Him and Jeremiah have built up an incredible relationship there throwing the ball. A couple more clips I want to get to because I thought I was able to ask Notre Dame defensive coordinator Al Golden some questions about the Ohio State offense, and I asked him, what keeps you up at night? And he laughed, and he goes, where do you want me to start? Because this Ohio State offense has all the tools. But I think you guys will get a kick out of what Coach Golden had to say when I asked him about the Ohio State offense. Talking about Ohio State, they present a lot of challenges. What are some that are keeping you up at night, getting ready for Monday?
Where do you want to start?
Yeah, start receiver.
No, it's great football, right? Like, this is where we're at, and whether you look at their schedule and who they've played and who they've beaten, or, I was just talking to our guys, like, if you said in June, that we were going to beat A&M, Florida State, USC, Georgia, so, Penn State, think about that, what we've created in college football, like, that's really awesome, and the game is stronger than it ever has been. And that's what we're here, that's what we're trying to defend right now in Ohio State. So if you try to take the slot away, you got 4 and 17 on the perimeter. If you're light box, they're big and strong enough to run it inside. If you leave the tight ends alone, it's a tough one-on-one matchup. So there's a reason why they score like they do. I think the biggest change that I see is I don't think they're in a rush. I think they're really doing a great job of getting into the correct play at the right time, and that's a credit to the coaches and the leadership that Ryan has provided them. So again, just hats off to them, and that's what we're getting ready for. But there's a lot that keeps me up right now.
There's a lot that keeps him up right now, and rightfully so. He went through that in the middle, and that's really the predicament that this Ohio State offense, when they're clicking, that's what they bring to the table. Hey, you want a double 4? Well, guess what? Here comes Carnell, 8 catches for 87 yards last week. Oh, you want to take both of those guys away? Oh, Emeka, probably one of the best receivers in all of America, plays second fiddle to a young phenom. Okay, you want to stop the pass game and give a light box? Here comes Quinshon Judkins right through your front door, and Travion Henderson also could take it if you wanted to. So this Ohio State offense is so good on the skill positions, and one place he didn't even get to addressing was how improved that they've been on the offensive line. We can't say enough good things about Donovan Jackson, what he's done this year, going from guard to tackle. I was able to talk to him about it. I don't have it in our video today, but I do encourage everybody to go listen to it, because he really talked about how it was hard. It's a hard transition. It's something that he wasn't expecting to have to do this year, but he did so because his team needed it. And the result of it is that, I mean, he's playing himself into becoming an NFL left tackle. He talked about it as, you know, when you're playing guard, you're in a fight in a phone booth, right? It's one-on-one in a space that's no wider than shoulder width apart. But when you're playing tackle, you're one-on-one on an island, man, and you got athletes, the best athletes on the field. Think Abdul Carter, think Jack Sawyer, think JT Tuimoloau, think Myles Garrett, think all those guys that's who these offensive tackles are going against. And for him to not only hold his own, but become one of the best tackles in the country is beyond impressive. Impressive doesn't even justify it. And when you can solidify that, then the rest of it falls into place. Luke Montgomery's been incredible as he's come starting in that Tennessee game, and has kind of took that guard spot over. Carson Hinsman's been great. Tegra Shabola on the other side, as well as Austin Saravold playing in that other guard position. And then Josh Fryer, an unsung hero on this team, uninjured, played every single game at the tackle position. Maybe didn't start the best, I mean, especially didn't have the best year last year, but has gotten consistently better. And when he doesn't pop up on tape, that's a good thing if you're a tackle. So really impressive up front. This offense just brings just so many challenges. And Coach Golden laughed at the end, like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff keeping me up at night. And hey, being defensive coordinator for a team going against these Ohio State Buckeyes is not a job I envy, not a job that I want. So had a really fun day getting to talk to these guys. Got to ask Jeremiah Smith a really fun question here that I want to play for everybody, and then take you into practice before we get out of here. So hang with me. We got a couple minutes left here, but listen to what Jeremiah Smith had to say when I got to speak with him. Jeremiah, who's been the coolest person to reach out to you this year?
Coolest person. I mean, you got a lot. I can't really say just a specific person. You got a lot of great guys reach out in the league, like Odell. You got guys like Stephon Diggs. A lot of other players as well. I just can't come to my mind, but really the two guys for sure. Odell, that's definitely them.
We'll do one more right here.
Yeah, when you're looking at Notre Dame, what's something that you got on your mind to try to attack them, try to dominate like you've been doing these past couple weeks?
Yeah. I mean, like they say, they play man, so I'm just ready for the challenge and just get ready to go out there Monday and just go put on the show.
Good luck, man. Yeah, just couldn't be more impressed by Jeremiah Smith, the young man, right? I mean, this is a kid who has the world at his fingertips right now. You know, he's arguably the best receiver in all of college football. You could argue he's the best player in college football. You could argue he could be a top 5 pick in the draft. You could argue he'd be a top 2 pick in the NFL draft in 3 months, not in 3 years, in 3 months from now. He's just incredible. And the fact that he's just, everything you hear from him about him is that he's such a good kid and he's got his head screwed on really good. So really impressive there. And I was hoping I'd get him to say, hope they play man coverage against me, because we've had that little spat between the Notre Dame Fighting Irish saying they're not getting out of their man ideals, and they're going to try to challenge the best receiving group in the country playing man-to-man coverage. If you're going to do that, I just wish you good luck. But some cool stuff there out of Jeremiah, and him saying Odell and Stephon Diggs are a few of the names that have reached out to him. Is pretty cool. And I can remember back at Michigan State when we were out there in East Lansing, when he had that sweet one-handed catch, LeBron James was tweeting at him, and he had made a comment about how cool that was. So just a young kid, 19 years old. Got life by the horns right now. So pretty darn cool for him, and I'm excited to see what he has in store coming off a game that he probably was one back, right? 1 catch, 3 yards, not his best stuff, but like we said, he still made that impact, just maybe not so much on the stat sheet here. So the last part of the day was a trip to practice. So we were able to go to Mercedes-Benz Superdome, whatever it's called, and check out practice. Now, I should say practice, because we got to be there for about 20 minutes. And if you know anything about college practices, if you know anything about college football coaches, they don't want any eyes that aren't inside their team on their practice. So we basically got to watch them warm up and go through some punt drills, and that was pretty much it. So not too much to take from that other than some cool sights and sounds. So here, check these out. I got 2 videos for you that I think are pretty cool. Yeah, and then for this last one, turn this volume up because this is pretty cool. As Hang On Sloopy rang pretty loud throughout the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. That's the calm before the storm. That's the best part. I was in there in that practice, getting the chills, man. It's my dad used to always say Fridays and Saturdays are for about putting the hay in the barn, and they are just about done on putting the work week in. They were in shells. You obviously could tell they didn't have their shoulder pads on. This was going to be a smooth practice. Kind of talked with some of their coaches before practice about the game plan, or excuse me, the practice plan. It was, hey, let's get in executing our drives. Let's put a couple of simulated drives together. Start backed up. Start at a normal spot. Start in plus territory. Work some drives. Get some situational action in, and then get out of here because this team's ready to go. That was the cool part about it. As Hang On Sloopy rang loud through that building. It felt like the calm before the storm. The guys were getting stretched up, ready to make history because it's the time of their lives right now, and they got an opportunity to etch this team into not only the history books at Ohio State, but the history books of all of college football. So a ton more to come for you guys this week. We got some really cool stuff coming your way tomorrow. It's going to be a lighter day. We're going to have coaches press conferences in the morning. It's about 9 a.m. So be locked in for that. And then we're going to go behind enemy lines. Myself and Kyle Kelly from On3, who covers the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. We're going to bring him on the show here to talk about the matchup from his perspective, what Notre Dame's going to try to do, and what they've been preaching all week long. So that one's going to be a really, really cool episode. So I suggest putting a feeler out there, hitting that subscribe button, hitting the notification button. That's another good one to add to the arsenal here because you'll be alerted when we go live. But if you do miss it live, that's totally fine. It'll live on our YouTube page. So if you're watching on Twitter here, if you're watching wherever you are, go to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, head to Twitter, hit that follow button. If you're on Facebook, I appreciate you stand tall and keep going, logging into that Facebook there. But I'm really excited about the week we have planned ahead for you guys because, like I said, you got a lot of places to go to get your Ohio State content. We appreciate you making Ohio State Buckeyes on SI one of them. So I'm going to get out of here on that, heading over to Notre Dame's practice right now, unless I missed the bus, which I very well could have. Going to go check out what the Irish got cooking up for us and then buckle down to watch some NFL football tonight. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. We'll be back with you later this week on the Ohio State Buckeyes on SI YouTube channel.